So, everybody, welcome back to our Zoomcast, a second draft. So, a group of coaches from different countries who've united by the idea of, reinventing, rewriting our lives after having successfully already built one life. And today we wanted to continue the deep dive into how we actually came to that decision. So, Maria, you want to kick us off?
I'll do my best. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our second podcast. Yes, we are having and living our new careers, but we were, as Tanya said before, in a completely different journey. And between the one and the two, there was a very difficult period we had to go through, a tough one, and one to where, our new careers, as we discussed before, were completely different from our old ones. And one may ask, if we are happy now, why delay so long? What kept us in living a life that we were not happy with? And when we were looking deep, 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 one of the things that we realized is there was fear. And I can talk about my fear, I cannot talk about the other ones, but for me it was, yeah, in a way I had it all, right? Career, success, rewards, financial security, responsibilities, I was able to meet them, everything. But, I was not happy. Something was wrong. And making this change meant I had to change a lot of things. And not only me, there are so many dependencies, my kids, my husband, my family, my group, my job, myself. Who am I, right? I mean, that was my definition. My job was it's part of our ID. I was happy to go everywhere and, use my label. So yeah, that kept me there for a long time until I decide, ooh,
Hmm. I
how
think I
about,
had, sorry, Maria.
go ahead,
Carry on.
no, go ahead.
I think my experience was a little bit different. I had a, uh, I've had a fairly conventional career. I started when I was studying. I was looking at working in the performing arts, and I realized, to be quite blunt, I wasn't going to make a lot of money. And I decided to go into a more corporate environment, and I went into HR. And my career in HR grew, and I had a lot of confidence around my abilities and my skills within HR. And I was very fortunate enough to have a very progressive career, and I worked with some really great companies. And I think the problem with that is it's a comfort zone in itself. And there comes a point where you're doing the same old thing. It may be in a different country, it may be with different people, but you're doing the same old thing. And to be quite blunt, it's really boring. And for me, it was that there's got to be more to life than this. And I guess, definitely there is still fear about changing and stepping into something different, because I know something so well. To step into something new is absolutely terrifying. What if I'm not successful? And that's really it's something which I'm working through at the moment. It's not resolved. It's still something which is in progress. But for me, it definitely was fear. It was definitely the fear of not being successful, the fear of not having, well, not having the skills and not being successful. That's pretty much it.
I really need to jump in here because, I mean, that's everything that you're saying, Alex. It just resonates really a lot. But for me, the biggest fear actually was financial.
Mm.
Still is
Mhm. Yep.
because, yeah, because, and as I explained last time, then I was I kind of dove into this. I didn't quite plan on it. That was not, I mean, so many people came to kind of to this shift consciously. I had been planning a shift, a very different one. I planned it as a very kind of carefully calculated soft launch. Nothing, literally not a single thing went according to plan. And the soft launch was in itself because I didn't want to end up in the exact situation where I ended up in, where I was not sure whether I could actually, whether I would have enough money to, then we've spoken to so many of you about this, that to live under a bridge, basically. I was literally afraid. I still am, just like Alex is still worried about, whether you have enough skills. I still worry about whether I'm going to live under a bridge. When this whole shift happened, and it was kind of, I can't say forced, but it did not happen like I had planned it to. I lost, like, my current income is 10 times lower than what I was used to,
Mm.
actually 10 times. And that fear that actually stopped me from pursuing it full time for a couple of months because I was still kind of thinking, okay, I need a crutch. I need something to sustain me until I can fully pursue this. And that does slow you down a lot because, when you're not fully committed to the shift, and by all means, I would never recommend to anyone to just go, take the plunge without having at least some sort of a safety net. So you need to plan for it. And I did have some sort of a financial safety net. It was not a good calculation. It was not enough, but I did have it. So and it's it does stop you. It does kind of slow you down when you're worried about those things, and when you try to find this kind of intermediary something that you almost inevitably get sucked into because it's scary. It's scary to let go. It's scary to put, you know, all of your effort into something new. And nobody can guarantee that you have to believe in you trust the process, trust yourself, trust your skills, and actually really, really work to get this going, to get that ball rolling. And it is very, very scary.
Mm. And Tanya, I think you've hit the nail on the head because thinking about it when I've said skills, I don't have the skills. The skill is I don't have the skill, or do I have the skill to be financially to create a financially viable business? That is actually the fear.
But can I interfere here? Because one thing that we all have common is that we were aware that we needed something more. And that's why we actually took the extra training to build new skills and count on them. And I think that part, at least for me, it relaxed the fear because I had something to count on, to bet on, to invest on. I just bring it up here so that at least our audience, if anyone hears and listen to us, is that we didn't just, as Tanya said, took the leap. There was a fear, but we took
Oh, I
some
actually
action.
did. No, I actually did. I was not planning on this shift. I was not like the I did not know. I mean, the realization of the fact that I'm not excited by my craft, by what I had been doing up to this moment came way later than the shift happened.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I was not planning on it. I
Okay.
didn't, I wasn't fully conscious of the fact that I want to leave my career behind fully, completely, and that all of that came way later. And I didn't come into even this training seeking new, I mean, I did it for personal development, for personal kind of growth. And because I was experiencing miscommunications with my uh, then planned business partner. So for me, that was kind of a way to maybe set something straight in my head and learn new skills to maybe communicate something to her. In no way, shape, or form did I plan,
Cool.
was I thinking of
Mm.
actually leaving my career behind at that point.
Mm.
Thanks for clarifying. Thank you.
Bev and Stefan, both of you have also made quite a radical jump. So tell us a little bit about how that worked for you.
Bevan, you going to go first?
Sure. Um, Focused on what I was scared of, I guess. What was I scared of before? Yeah, money, not making enough money. That was the only thing really that put it off. Um, Not knowing what I wanted, that'd be the other thing. It's not
Mm.
really fear-based, but I didn't do it any sooner because I didn't know which direction to move in, and I had a fear of wasting time. That I'd go and train in something and that wouldn't be the thing. And then a year on, I'd be exactly where I was and I still wouldn't know what I wanted to do. And so why bother even trying to do something else? It's a really good way to stay stuck.
Yeah.
Oh,
What I learned though is if you just get moving, if you move your feet a little bit, even if you go the wrong way, you realize it was the wrong way and you can go the other way a lot faster than you do if you just stayed still.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think fear of losing time is a good one because it's such a sticky kind of swamp, nice, comfortable swamp to stay in for a long time. I think I went through that a couple of times earlier in my life, where you look at it, it's like, oh my God, I'm going to lose a year. It's like the end of the world. And as you get older, you'd think that this time would become even scarier, but then you think, I was like, what was I even thinking? Like it's just 1 year. Oh, come on. But like when you're, I don't know, when you're 20 and you're facing the idea of like losing a year or shifting to another major in school. And I think there's so many people, because we're forced to, even this, we're forced to decide. And I think a lot of that shift comes from, I mean, we're forced to decide the direction of our lives that our lives going to take way too early. I mean, what do you really know about what you want to do at 17 or 18? And you're like, you need to decide. And then at some point, you're going to be facing a problem that if you're majoring in, I'm going to take my example. I graduated in nuclear physics. Well, when I decided that I've never worked in physics a day in my life, not a single day. But when I then decided that I wanted to maybe shift into teaching my actual, like something about around my actual profession, which was journalism, I got faced with a problem. You don't have the necessary education. So you can pursue something around academia in physics. It's like, I don't even remember that why. So yeah, and that is a huge thing, that fear of switching majors midway, when you realize that so many people realize they don't want to study what they started. How many people actually switched majors? It feels catastrophic.
Yeah.
1 year, 2 years. Oh my God, I'm going to lose 3 years of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boom. That's
A
it.
long, that's a lot of time when you're young.
Yeah, it feels like a lifetime.
That's
Depends whether you're counting how much time you've had or how much you got left.
Exactly. You'd think that at that age, you think, okay, I'm going to live for like, I might as well.
yeah.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, it makes sense also from my end, like that fear that we're facing, especially when you are in that new environment, like setting up your own business, knowing nothing about it, like, and starting learning, the theory, getting educated from the school that you are attending about that coaching thing. And everything is quite new. Also, like financially, like it's a new era, a new kind of a thing that there's so many things that you are confronting yourself, like really, 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 like a lot of things. And luckily enough, coaching is really helping you uh, really manage those type of fears, navigating and unlocking new potentials of you. So, like it's an opportunity actually, like moving on with your life and having those skills within you. So, yeah, it's something really, really nice. And talking about time, I mean, time. I mean, we don't know if we're gonna be here tomorrow, so just like live how we are and live the present moment. That's uh, that's basically what we really like need to focus on, living the present, not really focusing too far ahead.
But if you do too much of that, right, then why would you ever bother trying to improve? Why would you
Yeah.
embark on a year-long course?
Exactly.
Sorry, you're going to have to edit this out. This is my husband.
I didn't actually hear anything
We'll
Yeah.
see.
or see anything.
Sorry.
And also because Stefanos asked Sandra to record in gallery mode, I can't edit it out because I have nothing to cover it with. So, but yeah, nice.
Yeah, I mean, coming back to the topic of the feeling of wasting time to change your major or to lose a couple of years in your early studies or career. If you think about how you could look at it with us, changing or completely pivoting careers, you could look, oh, I've wasted 20 years in a career that I wasn't fulfilled by, but that's not really a waste because we've all grown into who we are now because of those careers and what we studied and
I agree.
people we
Yeah.
met. So, like, it's how you look at it. Like, sometimes I think, yeah, I would have chosen something different if I had the insight I've got now. But I was 18 when I chose what I wanted to study. And then I
Yeah.
stuck with it because I'd studied for 4 years. I'd done various internships and um, it's still, yeah, I still try not to look at it as a waste of time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how scary, and I have a question for you then. How scary is the realization that you want to shift, that you want to change? How was it for you?
Oh, yeah, I mean, for a long time, I felt that I was not fully fulfilled by what I was doing and I wanted something more, but a little bit like Bevan, I didn't know what. I had very many ideas. I did start various things and was never sure um, until later on. So yeah, it was scary because you kind of lose your identity a little bit. I used to identify with my profession that I've always done, and I still do to a degree. But this is like this whole thing about reinvention. You can do it at any age.
Hmm.
I somehow was also forced by various circumstances to reinvent myself, but it was also a choice because I was not feeling fully fulfilled by what I've done in the past.
Hmm.
I also had no idea. Absolutely not. Yeah, that was the problem. I just knew that I was not happy. I was the uncertainty, it was the money, the responsibilities. I had it in a way all except of fulfillment. So the fear of jumping in the unknown was the one that kept me where it was. And was, how I can meet my responsibilities, and I have plenty of them, and obligations, and where to go. I had not even like, an idea, a direction. So it is scary.
So then, in response to that, what is the one thing that actually helped you overcome the fear? Because I think that a lot of people, a lot of the people, definitely a lot of people I know are ultimately stuck in this fear, or even in this situation where they feel like, you know, I don't know what I want to do, or do I want to do? I have this routine, I have my work. Something that somebody told me just like yesterday, you know, like I don't know what I want to do, so uh, in the essence it's easier to just stay at work for another hour than to kind of, you know,
Spend that
uh,
time.
think of that or even like address
Mm.
that. So what is the one thing that you would like suggest to those people from your personal experience?
Can I respond to
Yeah.
that? I start talking to people. I
Mm.
start asking them. I had no idea. And what I realized is that I was working for more than 20 years in the same thing, and many things in the same job, and many things that I consider default, like, of course, natural. Wow, that's my life, But what's important or weird or different or special about them were things that people valued, and they were blind to me. So I started talking to people and realized that how much, what people like from me, why they come to me. Ask them, if you had a lot of money and no issue financial, and you wanted to find the best person to solve it for you, what would be the problem, and why come to me and only me, knowing that I am the right person for you and you would pay me for that? And I went and asked, I don't know how many people. I started with my husband and my kids, really. And I was surprised, even with them, right? But then
Yeah.
colleagues, my managers, my bosses, my people, partners, anyone. And the more I asked, the more I realized how much they tended to go to the same direction. And I saw what people value and cherish about me, and started to see new possibilities. That's what I did.
I tell you what I did. I just started making more decisions. Anything that I had half a thought whether I should do, rather than spending any time contemplating it, I just did it. And that was how I kind of created movement for myself. And a lot of those things weren't good things to do, but that helped me write them off, and it helped me learn more about myself, and that allowed me to do something else. So yeah, I didn't talk to anyone about it. I didn't think very much about it. I just did stuff.
Yeah.
Action.
Mm.
Sandra?
I think for me, I mean, yeah, it's not a clear-cut journey by any means, but it's also thinking, what do I want? Not yes, what do I want? What am I passionate about? And how
Also scary,
can I
so
make
so
that work?
scary sometimes.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
that, the answer to that question, because sometimes, oh my God, that's a can of worms. You don't, yeah.
What are you passionate about?
Well, I realized after a long time that my career wasn't creative enough for me. I'm a creative person, and my career in healthcare was this is wrong, this is right. There was no room for that much creativity. And now I got more into my art, I got more into this my niche, my interests of well-being, and I've realized I love I need something creative in my life. And that's what I'm passionate about is just doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be what I want to show from myself. I want to create something, whether it's a piece of art or a piece of writing or something like that.
Mm.
Mm. Mm. Interesting, because I think, when I was sort of thinking, well, I'm not really happy what I'm doing, what am I going to do instead? My first thought was to find something else in the same line.
Mm.
And then I started thinking about what I really, really wanted to do. And the first thought that came up was I actually want to be a swimming coach. And then I thought, well, do I really want to be in the water for like 8 hours in a day during the middle of winter? And that really wasn't something that I really thought about. And then I started to think about, what other opportunities could be. And the reality is I'm still trying to work through what is going to work for me, because I need a balance between the sort of structure that you have in a corporate environment and the structure that you have being able to organize your own time. So for me, that's something that I'm still working through.
Mm. Stefanos?
Yeah, it goes along those lines actually, because also for me, um, like being in that situation where, you know, I was thinking like to be like a fitness coach actually, but I
Oh,
was yeah, so I was like, okay, is that kind of what you really want to do, just this, or is it gonna limit you?
Yeah.
And I found out is that it's quite it's gonna quite limit me, like just sewing and like finding like the right program for them to make them like exercising and everything. So I kind of like expanded my view, my vision, and like I said, okay, coach. What if coach for me is a transformation from within out, which will have much more benefits just than like short-term body benefits, like a physical activity. So I really focus on creating that transformation from within, so that people would help them mobile themselves, doing healthier habits that will be long lasting and will actually have a benefit not just physically but also mentally. So to me, it's like much more than a fitness coach overall. It's more like an holistic approach.
Mm.
So yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
What
So
about you, Tanya? Very fast. You
oh
share.
gosh. I am kind of with Bevan in terms of who was just falling asleep actually. Thought we didn't notice. Um,
Can't cut this out, Tanya, either.
no, I know, I know.
He
My
was
my
resting his eyes.
my cutting equipment. So um I I've always believed, we have this kind of a fairy tale, that we tell little children that, about the frog that fell into a jar of milk and then she started like wobbling her feet and then the milk turned into cream and then turned into butter. And then, the frog could actually climb out of the jar and go about their business. So, but again, I I think for a long time now I've been thinking about, and I've kind of been going towards what fascinating, what I need to love what I'm doing. If I don't love what I'm doing, then that probably was the scariest thing for me, really. And even if it's something, so I have to be inspired by something in what I'm doing. Otherwise, it's just, it's kind of not a life. For me, that was kind of more of an existence, which was so scary. That was much more scary than um, maybe equally scary to living under the bridge. Um, so, um, so for me, it was kind of a combination of the two. At one point, it just struck me how uninspired I was by everything that was being offered to me professionally in my profession. And then I had to face the idea of whether is there something still inspiring in it for me? And the answer was not as exciting as I would have hoped. But then, to battle the fear of living under the bridge, basically putting one foot in front of the other. That's it. And believe that, um, but to be fair, I had a pretty significant experience in my life where I actually already kind of felt very sure in my skills and my abilities and the fact that I don't need to prove anything to anyone anymore, that I do have the skills and I do have the ability. Um, so it might not be a fair kind of, advice for somebody who might be struggling with trusting their skill set, trusting themselves and in their skill set, the fact that skill set is actually might be worth much more than they think it is. So, yeah. So there we have it. Episode 2 wrapped up. And we'll be back with more exploration of our journeys as we continue to rediscover, rewrite our past. When the first draft was actually already quite successful, this is the second draft, and we're excited.